Thomas here and welcome back to another video. So before we get into this one, I've just got to let you know that this video is presented by EA Game Changers, because today we're going to go ahead and take an early access look at the Sims 4 Tiny Living Stuff Pack. And today, of course, we're doing a speed build with the pack, and we're going to go ahead and build this tiny home community. So if you'd like to go ahead and download this build for yourself, it isn't up on the gallery just yet. I will be posting it probably on the day the pack releases, which is the 21st, I believe. So I will go ahead and post it on that day, probably around 10 AM Pacific Standard Time, I'd imagine, maybe like a little bit after that. So stay tuned for that if you want to download the build. And my origin ID is RealThomasTV1, and I will also come back here and leave a link in the description to the online gallery if you want to go ahead and download the build that way. So this build in total has 5 homes. All of them have a bathroom, and some of them have a bedroom, and some of them kind of just have everything in one space, if that makes sense. So on the gallery I did say 5 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms, and then this build came in at 139,523 simoleons, but remember that's like for 5 homes plus other things as well, because as you may have seen from the thumbnail, I did go ahead and do like a little sort of like communal area at the back. So there is kind of like a not really a greenhouse, but it's used the get together frame thing to make it look like a greenhouse in a way. It's like a little gardening area which is kind of fenced off and separate, and there's also a outdoor cinema as well, which is really random, but it was actually the one thing that I had in mind before doing this build, is I really wanted to use the outdoor cinema screen for movie hangout stuff. I don't know why, but I just had that in mind for that build, so that's what I went ahead and used. And then I think that's it in terms of like outdoor activities. Oh, there's actually a swing as well, so if kids live here they can use that, and a few extra planter boxes around too. So in terms of what packs are used for the expansions, it's got Discover University, Get Famous, Seasons, Cats and Dogs, City Living and Get Together. So quite a few expansions, but some of the packs I didn't really go too crazy with. And then for the game packs, just use Parenthood. For the stuff packs, of course, Tiny Living, and also movie hangout stuff. And yeah, so this build I'm really happy with. Each of the homes are not really personalized, I would say, but they do have like a little bit of a different character for each of them, because as you may have seen from the thumbnail as well, is that I used like siding from base game, and I switched up the colours of that siding as I went onto each home. Now that's kind of as far as I went in terms of personality. I didn't make like the home specific to any type of sim really. I would probably say the pink one and also the grey one are kind of the most personal ones, I would say, but we'll get onto those later once we actually work on them. So this home right here is probably the biggest one, I would say. It is the first one as well, and each of the homes are slightly different in size. So like I said, this one is its biggest probably in the entire lot because of it having a separate bedroom, and it also has quite a bit of decent living space as well, but the bathroom, it doesn't have a sink in it. It has to share it with the kitchen, which I also did in a few other homes as well, just to save space a little bit, because I have done a lot of tiny homes in the past, but I always kind of make things a little bit on the bigger side rather than like micro homes, probably because I'm so used to doing mansions all the time. So I really tried to make an effort to like not do the homes as big as that first one, and I just tried to reduce space where I could. Anyway, so this is my first early access video with the pack, and as you know, when I do early access videos, I always put my kind of opinions and thoughts into the first video I do with the pack, so it's easy to find. And as you know, I don't do like separate pack reviews anymore, as people just prefer to see speed builds on my channel, so I'm kind of, that means you can't really hear my opinions all the time, so I just put them into my speed builds instead. So overall, I'm really happy with this pack. Now, just to let you know, similar to some other packs during early access, the early access period, I don't really have time to look through Creator Sim in the gameplay side of the pack, because as you know, I'm working on speed build videos, so I don't have time to look at those things. But what I've seen from, little kind of bits and pieces of information here and there, the Creator Sim side of things does look pretty nice. I know there's some toddler hairs as well, which is great to see, so it's not just adult Sims we're getting new stuff for, but I haven't really looked at that in detail, so I can't really give you my opinions on that, other than saying that it does look like the Sims team have really focused both on build buy and also not forgotten about Creator Sim. Now gameplay, again, like I said, I haven't really looked at that. I do know that there is some functionality with the Murphy bed and a new death type, I believe, as well, but it is, I can't really comment too much on that because I've not really experienced it for myself. But again, it's a little bit of everything, which is great, because I say that a lot sometimes as a builder, kind of giving opinions on when people ask me, oh, what pack should I get and things like that. Well, I can only really give you from the aspect of a builder, but I have seen other aspects of this pack, and it just looked like a good all-round pack, which is nice. So in terms of build buy, which is what I can give you my opinions on in detail, is that I'm really happy with it. I did really enjoy going through all the items as I did this build. And for a stuff pack, I think we did get a nice, decent amount of items. And also, it's kind of like a mix of items as well. So you've got like a bits for like a living room, bits for a bedroom, some, bathroom items. And it would have been nice to see some kitchen items. And also, one thing that kind of slightly was a bit frustrating was that, we got a new toilet and new sink, but we didn't get a new bath or shower, which is really frustrating to see, because it does make things a little bit irritating, because you don't really have a complete set there. You just kind of have like 2/3 of a bathroom set, if you know what I mean. So that was a little bit frustrating to see, but I think it's something that we kind of expect now, or at least see a lot, within packs. So I suppose it wasn't that disappointing, but it would have been nice. But anyway, another thing as well is the colour swatches of the items were pretty good, I would say. I've mentioned this before, I think it was in my 2020 wishlist video about colour swatches of items, is that not every pack, but a lot of packs that we've seen, especially Cats and Dogs and Jungle Adventure, they all kind of have their own sort of theme of wood colour swatches, and not just woods actually, just generally the whole pack has like a theme for their colour swatches. And I also noticed it with this, as well. As I went through, all the items, I could definitely see a very distinct colour scheme going on with the items in terms of woods and stuff like that, which isn't that much of a bad thing. With this pack, it means all the items work together. The only problem is when it comes to mixing these items with, items from base game or other packs, it may be a little bit problematic for them kind of having their own theme going on. Now, I haven't really had that much chance to play with that because of this being my first build with the pack, but I haven't really had that many problems with that. I did notice it a few times where I did struggle maybe 1 or 2 times to match things together because of the colours, but it wasn't that much of an issue, and I'm sure we'll work around it because we've had this problem in other packs as well, and it's not the end of the world. So those are kind of my overall opinions so far. As I said, I haven't had hours and hours and hours of play with a pack yet, so maybe in my upcoming speed builds, if I find anything else to talk about, I'll let you know of any of the thoughts that comes to mind. But overall, I know some people as well ask me, should I buy this pack or not, and it is quite hard to say, because one thing I was also disappointed about with this pack is that it says Tiny Living, which when I kind of didn't really look too much into the pack and I just saw the title to begin with, kind of what comes to mind is a lot of other things rather than what we actually got, sort of like eco living, and all we really got was interior furniture items. So I feel like not really that was a rushed pack, because what we got is quality. I think all the items are very well made and everything. It's not like it's been rushed in terms of what we have, but the idea could have maybe had a little bit more time on it and maybe put it into a game pack. I think that would have been much better, because although we got really nice interior items which I'm going to use, I think the idea of tiny living is sort of incomplete in a way, because like I was saying, with eco living and all the other things that you may associate with people living in tiny homes, we didn't really get all of that. So I think a game pack would have been a better fit for the idea, and now that we have a stuff pack called Tiny Living, I don't think we're going to see it anymore in The Sims 4, any more additions for tiny homes and tiny living now that we have this pack. So that's a little bit frustrating to think, but you never know, that may not be the case. So I just think that maybe the pack could have had a little bit more thought put into it in terms of what tiny living is, rather than just, a Murphy bed, which seems to be the main sort of gameplay side of things. But if we're focusing on a tiny living pack for decorating tiny homes, then definitely I would say this is a good pack, because as I said earlier, we did get a lot of variation in terms of interior items, which can be used in various different parts of a home. So I think for interior stuff it's great. So maybe in the future we'll see some more things for the tiny living theme. So if you're going to ask me, should I buy this pack or not, it's quite hard to say, because I'm kind of mixed really. As a builder for decorating tiny homes, I would say yes. If you're a game player, then really only if you're going to play in tiny homes, I would say yes, because it's kind of like a specific pack that you may not use in other areas of the game. So if your Sims do live in tiny homes, you do like that kind of gameplay, living in small spaces, then yeah, that I think it would be a good pack for that. If you kind of don't really have the money for it, then maybe hold off. It's not something I would rush to go out and buy, if that makes sense, but it is overall a good pack. As I was saying, it seems it could have been more thought into it and put it into a game pack, but from what we've got, the items are really nice. Lots of nice colour swatches as well. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but not about the woods, but I mean in terms of actual number of colour swatches the items have, because there's lots of choice, especially with the painting. I really love that painting actually. I'm probably going to use that quite a lot because I had a lot of different variations of it, which was nice. You can see it there on the wall there in the middle between those two windows. And yeah, so this home right here, this one's probably one of my favourites. This one, it is very, very small and cramped, but I just really love the colour scheme of it being kind of monochrome in a way. It's not completely monochrome, but the walls are. It kind of just has a darker colour scheme to it. And let me know in the comment section as well which of these tiny homes is your favourite out of the 5. So like I said, that one's probably mine. And also let me know about if you have kind of any opinions on the pack. Do you agree with what I was saying before, or do you have anything else to add? Then of course sound off in the comments, as I'd love to hear your opinions on the pack as well. Also remember, I do have a giveaway running right now as well for this pack, so you can go ahead and enter that. I made like a 1-minute video the other day explaining it, so you can go ahead and check that out, and you enter through the comments section of that video. And it ends on the 22nd as well, so that's the day after the pack comes out. So you do still have a little bit of time after you see this, if you're watching it on the day it goes up. And yeah, so now we're just working on the last home, and I did, like I said, get 5 homes in this build, and it is a 40 by 30 lot, I forgot to mention, in Newcrest. I wasn't really too sure what I was going to do for the layout to begin with, but I kind of just did the first home, and then I kind of just went from there, really. That happens a lot when I do these kind of multiple homes on one lot types of builds, is that sometimes I struggle to think how I'm going to do it, but I kind of just go with the flow in a way. Also, I did keep going back to that house that we just worked on, my favourite one, because I did actually forget to put in a dresser just because of the space, and I kind of went over my mind really, but I did in the end manage to get one in. And I also went ahead and used a mini fridge in this house as well from Discovery University. As you can see, I didn't actually use too many items from Discovery University. It was the mini fridge. I did also use one of the bikes as well outside one of the homes, and I think it was another item as well, which I can't really think what it was, but yeah, I didn't really use too many items from Discovery University. I just thought that the mini fridge would be a good idea, I thought, for the very small homes. A lot of the homes do have, like, you know, a stove and a full-size fridge, but for the smaller ones I thought mini fridge would look nice, so I went ahead and did that. So this home, like I said, is the last one. It looks kind of big from the outside, but it is fairly small inside. It just have a little bit more space, but I still had to go ahead and use a Murphy bed instead of like a separate bedroom or anything like that. I do really like this interior as well. As I said before, not only on the exterior, how I, you know, changed up the colours as I went, but I didn't want to make the interiors too similar between the homes as well. I did want to switch those up where I could, and also just an opportunity for you to see the items used in different ways and different colour swatches. So I went ahead and did that. And I don't think I've used all the items so far from the pack. I think I was the bed, like the actual normal bed, not the Murphy bed. I don't think I've used that yet. Or maybe, no, I used it once. And there is something that I haven't used from the pack, and I can't think what it was. But, you know, this is only my first video with the pack, so if there are any other ideas you want to see, then let me know, as I'll be doing some more. There should be one coming later today as well, so stay tuned for that. And, of course, more in the upcoming days. So I really hope you enjoyed today's speed build in the comment section down below. Let me know about what you thought of it. If you have any more suggestions for builds or anything else that you want to see, that'd be really helpful to hear. Leave a like, share and subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!